them. The police chief has the power to throw members of your family in jail or set them free. Any ordinary person's dishonesty can only do so much damage, but those granted with authority are especially dangerous. So we pay particularly close attention, and are often very skeptical of, leaders. We look to their consistency as a measure of how reliable they are. We use consistency as a proxy for determining a leader's integrity. Integrity and consistency are often hard to separate in our minds. The word integrity inspires other words like ethics and conviction, phrases like unwavering commitment and practicing what you preach. All these behaviors rely on our standing firm on our prior deeds and past actions, in essence, being consistent. According to a Santa Clara University professor of management, who is an expert on business ethics, consistency, which he defines as the absence of contradictions, has sometimes been called the hallmark of ethics. But is it always the case that consistency equals integrity? Sometimes the greatest acts of integrity involve being inconsistent, especially when circumstances change, new information comes to light, or mistakes have been made. And because the world is changing fast, now more than ever, leaders need to be big enough to embrace inconsistency when required. Look no further than Admiral McRaven to see why this is so. Nevertheless, most leaders refrain from publicly changing their minds, even when they know it's the right thing to do, in order to avoid appearing as flip-floppers. While our culture can and should help us see past this unthinking distrust, political pundits and the media tend to make things even worse, preventing us from being able to see when a leader's inconsistency is necessary. Case in point, Terry Cooper. The Flip-Flop Hunter. Terry Cooper has spent his entire career searching for buried treasure. That treasure, though, isn't buried in the ground. Instead, it's stashed away inside newspaper archives, congressional records, and roll call books scattered throughout his home just outside of Washington, D.C. The treasure Terry hunts for isn't gold, but to his clients, it's worth just as much. Terry Cooper is an opposition researcher. His job is to reveal the strengths and weaknesses of a candidate's opponent, and Cooper understands there is no greater weakness in politics than the flip-flop. In the 2004 Colorado governor's race, a young man named Mark Holtzman faced off against establishment candidate Bob Beaupre. Holtzman's campaign hired Terry Cooper to do political research. Terry Cooper, who looks a bit like the late Philip Seymour Hoffman in Capote, went right to work, doing what he does best, looking for dirt. In order to find these dreaded flip-flops, Cooper gathers all the public information that he can find about a candidate and looks for inconsistencies. In an interview with Julie Seipel of Minnesota Public Radio, Cooper reveals his process. First, he finds a particular vote that is buried deep inside the data. I will make a note of that, and then the next time the vote comes up, I'll see if he voted for or against. Cooper makes meticulous records of these inconsistencies, compiles them into a report, and sends them to his clients, political candidates on the national and local level. The campaigns then use this information to design campaign strategy, which often includes attack ads to discredit these candidates. What Cooper noticed with Beaupre was a significant number of flip-flops. The result? The resurfacing of a nickname that had plagued Beaupre in the past. Both ways Bob. Holtzman's campaign would paint Bob Beaupre as a serial waffler, constantly voting one way on an issue and then voting the other way when it was politically convenient. Still, Cooper's client Holtzman was no match for the deep pockets of the Beaupre campaign. Before Election Day, he dropped out of the race, and Bob Beaupre went on to win the Republican primary. But Cooper's work lived on. While Governor John Hickenlooper promised a positive campaign,